Aaron Rodgers was there because he's not at OTAs, and Matt LaFleur, who had been very, very careful, treading lightly, and still has not taken a direct shot at Aaron Rodgers. Here's LaFleur from yesterday about the general subject. No players named specifically, even if there's only one prominent player who isn't there. LaFleur on his attitudes regarding the importance of attendance at OTAs.
Yeah, each guy has that right to make that choice. If you're asking me, I want everybody here. So, I think some of the thought process may have changed over what's transpired over the last 2 years, especially with our COVID situation where, we didn't have OTAs. And then, but my thing to our guys is, well, neither did anybody else. So everybody was playing, had the same circumstances that they were dealing with. So obviously now with everybody being open, and you'd like to see as many guys as possible here.
That's a risky comment. It's inherently risky. And I remember in the early days of voluntary workouts, you couldn't even say that.
Yeah, I know.
You couldn't say, I want everybody here.
Yeah.
Hey, they got the right to be here if they don't want to, but I want them all here. That in and of itself, if the NFLPA wanted to push it, even now, and they don't, maybe they will, I don't know. That is a statement that is dangerously close to the line, if not over the line. We just don't think of it because Matt LaFleur is not the kind of guy who talks like that.
Right, yeah,
He's not the kind of guy who steps close to the line. But that sentiment, and maybe it's just a manifestation of his frustration that his starting quarterback isn't there at a time when, it's pretty important to get this new look receiving core up to speed. I'm surprised that he said it because there's some stuff in there that really does push the envelope, and he doesn't seem like the kind of guy who does that.
No, you're right. I hope the NFLPA doesn't do anything. I think he's just giving an honest coaching answer, and he made it clear that it's their right and they don't have to be here. But man, every coach feels the same way. I mean, they want everybody there. Yes, you have limited time. You have limited time during the season now with some of the practice rules. So these guys don't want to give that up. As much as that a lot of people are sit there and go, oh, it's practice in early June. How much does it matter? It does matter. It helps. There's no doubt. There's things in the offense that got implemented that are new. You talked about the chemistry with guys, all that. So that's a real thing. Now, maybe with Rodgers, yeah, as far as the offense and the new plays and maybe things like that, that's going to be nothing for him. But I think the chemistry and leadership of a new group of guys and all that is important. I don't care who you are. There's no doubt. And then head coaches, of course, believe in that. So that's going to bother them. But you're right. He flirted with it a little bit, but I don't think he crossed the line. He kind of just let it be known he wants you there, but he didn't cross it, I didn't think.
He crossed the line if the line is enforced as the line is written. And we don't hear coaches say that. I think that's what was jarring about it too. They stay away from that line now. They've learned through time and experience to stay away from that line, to not do anything to suggest it's anything other than purely voluntary, and just simply saying, I want them all here. I want them all here. That could be problematic. Again, Matt LaFleur gets away with it because he's never done anything remotely close to it, and he delivers it in a way that is so, I don't know, non-threatening,
nice
and
guy
just
next
natural
door kind of
and
talk.
nonchalant.
Yeah,
it's not like
right.
he's like, I want everyone here,
Yeah.
and he's banging on the table. But the content, I'm not passing judgment. All I'm doing is stating facts. I know what the CBA says. I know what has gotten coaches in trouble in the past, and this is the kind of thing that we'll see. We'll see if the NFLPA does anything. But I can understand why he wants Rodgers there because Christian Watson. I wrote about this over the weekend. The offensive coordinator, Adam Stenovich, says that Watson eventually is going to be a problem. He's going to, in a good way, for the Packers,
problem for defenses.
in a bad way for defenses.
Right.
Yeah, and a great long read from Matt Schneidman of The Athletic about Christian Watson and his background and growing up and why he ended up at North Dakota State. And,
right.
Growth spurt, wasn't playing in high school until he was a junior or senior, but great potential. Great potential.
Oh, he's a star in my
great measurables.
Yeah.
I know he was one of your top guys going into the draft this year, but look, at the end of the day, they're counting on this guy to walk through the door as the number one receiver. And you can rattle off all the names of the second and third round picks that the Packers have found over the years who became great receivers. They did not walk through the door with the obligation, with the urgency, with the assignment of becoming the number one guy on the roster. So, and I say that because, number one, it's not going to be easy for Watson, and number two, it would be a little bit easier if your quarterback was there to help you through it. That's why I said last week, it's not about what Rodgers needs, it's about what Watson needs. Watson needs him there. And he's not, obviously, but I think Watson needs him there, and I think that's where that frustration, that's what caused Matt LaFleur to be a little more candid than maybe he's ever been in the past about something like this, because he knows it's going to help Watson, it's going to help Sammy Watkins, it's going to help all the guys who are there learning how to run routes and catch passes if they're doing it with the guy that they're going to be doing it with in September and beyond.
No, you're right. I mean, again, I think that has great value. I do. I'm always going to support being at practice, getting the reps, doing that 100%. Now, Rodgers, does he have some work with these guys at some point? I'm sure he will. You know, again, it's not the same work, but at least it'll get them going. I'm sure they'll meet somewhere and have a week of throwing and doing all of that. But I think your point, the biggest thing is Watson, Christian Watson, who's a freak show, and to me was the freakiest receiver in the draft other than Jameson Williams, is like you're talking about, like already being marked as the number one guy. I mean, I saw comments from Randall Cobb last week going like, there's nothing this kid can't do. Like he's gonna like the offensive coordinator said, he's gonna be a problem for defenses, and that is different to your point of when Jordy Nelson got there, Greg Jennings and Donald Driver were there, so he didn't have to like perform right away. And then when guys like Devontae Adams got there, Jordy Nelson and Randall Cobb were there, so he didn't have to perform right away. This one's different. This is no massaging. This is like, we're going to be going into game one, and you're the biggest threat we got at receiver, and we need you to, scare some people. And that makes it a little different for sure.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.